Banana Slam Jam.
I have now seen this approximately 5 times in the last 3 days with my Offlane Marses. Mars is a hero that mans the fuck up. That's what Mars does. And there are some lineups, and there are a lot of heroes in the game that are like Mars, and there are some lineups where you just can't survive. No matter what item build you go, maybe you got thrown away to a solo tri-lane, like you were solo against a tri-lane, your game was completely sacked, and in those types of games, you can build like a fucking pussy. Because if you're really far behind, then there's really no items you can buy to tank up. There's no items you can buy that allow you to go in first and, have impact on the middle of the fight. But those games are exceptions. It's kind of like if you default to this item build, it's like defaulting to not going Battle Fury on Anti-Mage. The normal build for Anti-Mage is to go Battle Fury. If you have a good game, you want to be able to flash farm. On Mars, if you have a good game, you want to be able to buy Vlad's, BKB, and a Blink Dagger. Those are the items that make Mars feel good, look good. And this is a perspective that I want you guys to have on any hero you're playing. What items feel good for that hero? What is the ideal build for that hero? And if you're going to go any other build than that, it's either a specific patch where you think an item's been buffed to be specifically good that patch, or it's because the normal build simply won't work that game because you're against a bunch of counters, you had a really rough laning stage, something like that. I have now seen, like I said, about 5 Marses go this pussy ass shit cuck build. What the fuck is this? I left him in a 1v1. He was in a 1v1, getting virtual free farm against a lifestealer. 1v1. And you're 1v1ing a melee hero and you have tranquil boots in a bottle? What the fuck am I looking at? This is hard to stomach. I can't fathom. You have an ability that is based on your right-click damage, and when you hit them with that ability, they are slowed. So then you right-click them. This is what? It's like, once he buys Blink, it's like 6,000 gold, 5,000 gold worth of items that don't give you a single stat, don't give you a single damage on your right-clicks, and this is the build you go in an ideal 1v1? I have now seen this 5 too many times. And so this is an angry rant, this is a PSA, whatever you want to call it. This is the guy that hit 9k basically off of the back of Mars and Slardar. So these are heroes that man the fuck up and go in. Stop building these cuck-ass items on offlane heroes. This is insanity. Somebody in the game has to go in and tank spells. These items do not go in and tank spells. These items are, let's dodge some damage. The enemy team can ignore me while I'm up in the air for 2.5 seconds, and then come while I'm up there, by the way, I'm the teamfight ultimate tank guy. The rest of my team is dying, and when I come back down, they die. These are items that buy time for yourself. You are a fucking offlaner. Be a man. Grow some fucking balls. I can't handle this anymore. The next Mars I see with Tranquils and a Yule Scepter in a game where they weren't absolutely demolished in lane, I am actually gonna fucking lose it. It has been brought to my attention that Zai did the exact build that I was flaming my public Mars for doing. We'll take a preemptive approach here and say that I know there's going to be people in the comments that say, BSJ, Zai, really good offlane player, built those items that you just flamed the fuck out of on your Mars. Maybe he knows better than you do. Well, if you were listening to what I said, there are ideal ways to play heroes, and if you're in a rough start or not an ideal game, then yes, you can build more defensive or more passive or more scared items, because those items will at least make it so you don't feed relentlessly. And if you are given a bad lane as an offlaner, you basically become a support. And if we're going to quickly watch Zai in the game where he went for this build, compared to the Mars in my pub game that was effectively a 1v1, where he had almost free farm, we're going to compare the 2 lanes. So yes, we could fast forward. We get to like the 3-minute mark, okay? He's 1v2 in his own safe lane. He has 5 CS at 3 minutes. Gyro has 16 last hits and 10 denies. 5 last hits and 1 deny. 18 last hits and 10 denies. He's effectively getting zoned away from the lane while the rest of his team is aggro tri-laning. He is getting thrown to the wolves while his team is trying to capitalize on the lead in the other lanes. And this is why he's building Tranquil's, Blink, and Eul's, because Tranquils are a very cost-effective item for the region he desperately needs. Blink and Eul's are 2 items that help him farm and also help him fight. And this is because he's so weak in lane and there's no item he can buy to win the lane, and he's having a really bad lane, so none of his items are focused on the lane themselves. And since he has a really bad start, there's no like phase bracer build that he can go to be survivable in this game against all the magic damage and heavy mid-game team fight that the opponent team has. It is very important that when you're trying to learn new heroes, that you can watch players like Zai, and that you can understand that they know a lot about that hero compared to you. However, you must also attempt to understand why these builds are being built. And if you see Tranquil's, Eul's, Blink as on Zai when he's fucking thrown to the wolves and sacrificed in his lanes, please understand he is doing it because of the laning stage he was given, as opposed to it being the default build. Please, especially the guy that was in my game, if you are top 1000 immortal, be capable of thinking for yourself about why an item build will or will not work and why a good player like Zai chose to build it.